Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Rise Urban Nation. I have such a special guest in the building. I was just teasing him when he came on. It's like meeting your childhood superhero, George McCalman. Welcome to the show. How are you this
Thank
morning?
you. As you said earlier, I'm blessed. I'm feeling blessed. I'm great.
Man, it is an honor and a blessing to have you on the show today. Now, for those, because I know I had to get educated myself. For those people who don't know who you are, who is George McCalman? And I know that's a deep question. You could take that as far as wide as you want to go, but give us a brief intro to the man and the person. Who are you, sir?
Who am I? Well, this week, I'll tell you who I am this week. I
Okay.
am the brand new author of a book called Illustrated Black History, honoring the iconic and the unseen. That's who I am.
Mm.
That I am the
Now,
writer, artist, and designer of the book.
man, this is so beautiful because you don't know. Like I've been talking about this. There was a episode I did not too long ago for Future Black History Month, and I was telling like we need more books to just like highlight all these amazing folks, right, that have not been honored properly in our history books. And here you go, just doing it.
That's basically
Now, give me,
basically what it is. I just went and did it.
yeah, give me the origins of this book, because I heard this has been 6 years in the making.
6 years in the making. Yes, yes,
Yeah, give me the origins of this book.
that is not a rumor. That is absolutely true. The origin point was 6 years ago. I went to school. I'm an artist, but didn't know I was an artist for most of my adult life. And then I decided to do a self-imposed daily painting of a Black History pioneer. And while I was doing it, several friends and contemporaries said, "Oh, this should be a book." And I don't know, I just assumed that it was already a book. And so I was like, well, that's there's it already is out there. And when I did the research, I found out there was zero, 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 zero. And so I decided to I made it a mission, and it has been a mission, and I've been working on it, working on the book itself for 4 years.
Wow. And here it is. So now give us the backstory to your work as a writer and illustrator up until this point.
So I run a design studio. I work for myself. I opened up a branding studio, branding agency 11 years ago. And then,
Mhm.
you know, when I started working on this project is when I was like, oh, I think I'm an artist. And I started a column with the San Francisco Chronicle, an illustrated column where I was going out to events and I was
Uh-huh.
writing and drawing instead of sending a photographer out to do it. I was the photographer, and I did
Uh,
this monthly column that where I was writing about culture, Bay Area culture, and it evolved, and then I started becoming a cultural critic for
yeah.
and in the process of writing and writing all the time, then it became clear that I was going to be writing this book also.
Nice, nice, nice. Now, I your perspective as a writer, and then especially on Black history, I love it because it's unique because it's coming from a different lens and identity. Most people don't know this, but uh, you weren't born in the
Right,
U.S.
right.
And so I have talks with my co-founder who's Nigerian born, raised in the UK, and we often have very rich dialogue about the dichotomy of like how Black US is perceived
Yes.
from other Black
That's it.
cultures,
That's it.
which is through a media lens. And so when they come here and they interact with Black cultures through that lens, and and even just her mindset of like growing up in a like Nigeria, like being able to visually see just like Black excellence on a daily basis, leader. So it's not like an abstract idea to them. Like, well, why can't Black people here just rise? And it's just interesting to see how that works
Yes.
in their mindset. So give me your perspective on Black history not being born in the US.
Well, that is that is the origin of this book. You know, I have lived my life mostly in this country. I was born in the Caribbean, and I spent the first 8 years of my life there, and then I moved to New York, and I grew up in New York also, which is also a particular way of viewing Black culture. And so up until 22 years ago, I now live in San Francisco, which is a whole different view of race and the differences in Black and white culture. And so I've had a lot to take in and a lot to understand. And I've been a citizen of the country since I was 15. So most of my life, I'm 50 years old, and I'm now here. And so taking a little bit of my kind of immigrant psychology while being a Black American, while living, you know, it's a lot of different perspectives that I brought into this. And I made a conscious decision about writing it in the first person to make it personal, but to also kind of show that there are a lot of different ways to be Black. And all of these people are all very individual, but we're part of the diaspora collective. And thinking holistically about what it means to be Black, that there is such a range of it, and honoring, there are a lot of controversial figures in this book also that I think a Black American might not have selected to place in there. People like Ben Carson, people who accomplished a lot but have turned out to be chicken heads. And I wanted to really kind of show the range of accomplishment, that even what is accomplishment means different things to different people. And hopefully my view as an immigrant makes me conscious of, from both an internal view of American history and an external, both inside and outside of the experience.
Man, that is beautiful. And I think it's very much needed, that lens, because a lot of time when we look at Black history, it's through either a white lens, which has been watered down through our history and in the school system, or it's from a really pro-Black lens from Black abolitionists and leaders in the society. So, like, seeing it from that lens, that's a new perspective that we get to take on it. And I appreciate you for sharing and writing it from that perspective. Now, you caught me off guard when you said I'm 50, because for those who are going to get the visual experience, this man got like a fro that's just on sheen. He ain't got no gray hair. I don't see no wrinkles. I don't know what he must be still in the Caribbean diet.
Yes, no, that is the Caribbean. That is Caribbean genetics right there. My family, listen, let me tell you something. My grandmother is 99 years old and looking snatched.
What?
Yes. Looking snatched, not looking like her age at all. So it runs in my family. It's not just me.
Yeah, so what part of the Caribbean? Grenada. Oh, my friends out in Grenada. My dad and the siblings went out there not too long ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no,
it's a beautiful, beautiful, very spiritual place. Americans come down of all persuasions, and they're like, "Oh, this place is really special." It's like, Grenada is my secret sauce.
Yeah, I need to get down there.
You do.
I heard it was better than Jamaica.
Oh, I mean, those are fighting words, but I will utter the rallying cry. I think it's better than Jamaica too.
And all my Jamaicans, please forgive me.
They're like, oh, and you know what? Yes, and they will find the two of us defending that. Yeah, Grenada is better than Jamaica.
Me love my Jamaicans, man. Me love the Ackee and Saltfish, the sliced bun and cheese, curry goat. Me love all of you. So don't come at me, please. I beg.
I call Jamaicans the Nigerians of the Caribbean, because they're the boldest, most declarative people in the Caribbean, where they really do think they are the center of gravity. But I will tell you that is not true in the Caribbean.
So true, so true.
They really think
Oh, but it's so much-
nothing else exists outside of Jamaica.
yeah, all my Jamaican friends are about to give me a call after this episode. I can hear it now.
No,
I can just hear
I'm
it
gonna
now.
get it. I'm gonna get it in my inbox too. Yeah, come for me. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you.
So let me dive back into this book. How did you come to choose the 145 Black pioneers profiled in this book?
So I had a longer list of 500,
Okay.
500 names, almost 500
Okay.
names, and to kind of winnow it down, I went with guts. I went with emotions, feelings, and I was also looking for avatars. You know, that word came up a lot in my where it was less about the person and it was more about what they represented to me. I wanted to show a kind of accomplishment and that there were a lot of more well-known people who had accomplished similar things, but their story was particularly interesting. And I was frankly looking for more people who were not generally known, you know, including me. As I was researching, I discovered a lot of people that I didn't know before that I was like, yes, I want to know more.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And there is so much of our Black history as I'm starting to uncover by doing this podcast and then talking to others that has not been uncovered
At all.
right?
No.
We have not even touched the surface.
Not even. We have barely, and even with this book, I feel like I barely scratched the surface. And this book could easily be 3, 4, 5 volumes and still not scratch the surface of our accomplishments.
And you know this crazy thing that I'm learning too, even the new Black history that's being made now, we have unscratched the surface. There's Black pioneers that's worked in Apple that got their patents like taken from Apple
Yes.
and
Tell it.
we never know they created that thing.
Tell it.
And I was like, wait, we need to highlight all
Tell
this.
it,
Like,
tell it. Yes, absolutely true.
and so I'm glad that we're starting when they said the revolution wouldn't be televised, they didn't say it wouldn't be written and illustrated.
It's true. It's true.
So why is this book being published in September and why not Black History Month?
That was part of my original proposal. I did not want the book to come out during Black History Month because Black History Month has become, like so many other holidays, a commodity. And I wanted it to be about my philosophy that Black history is every month, that it's not just localized to one month. It is 365 days a year from my vantage point. And when I first spoke with the publisher and they were weighing the time for it to come out, and they floated the idea of it coming out during Black History Month, I said, nope, there's plenty of opportunities to celebrate it during Black History Month. I'm totally down for that. But for it to just become one other thing, I said, no, this should be out any time of year. It should not matter when this book comes out, and everyone should be aware of these figures all year round.
Yes, I agree. Now, you chose to include some guest essayists in this book, including Brian Terry, Marvin K. White, Patrice Peck, and the list goes on. Why did you choose these individuals?
So I approached essayists that I admired, basically. I asked people to write for the book. I wanted perspectives outside of my own as the writer. I wanted to have other voices in the book, and not just other voices, but other ways of interacting with Black history. The essays are basically about it. They're all really personal essays about how they each came into an understanding. Emil Wilbekin, who used to be the editor-in-chief of Vibe magazine, wrote a beautiful essay about how his parents are his heroes, that they are the ones that motivated. They would pull him out of school every Martin Luther King Day. Like, he celebrated Martin Luther King Day before it became a national holiday. And a sense of just pride in our DNA that we didn't need larger society to tell us about our accomplishments. Each person came to that understanding on their own. And I love it's some of my favorite writing in the book.
Nah, I love it. I love it. So when you look at this book, what does it, ultimately represents? I look at it and I see it as just like a illustration of just Black excellence. That definitely our Black audience needs to know, but maybe, even our white audiences too. I don't know if you feel the same.
Everybody. And we need it for different reasons.
Okay.
I mean, white people just need to be educated, period, about our accomplishments. And that is no shade. It's just facts. That the larger culture just needs to understand that the center of gravity is not around them, that there are so many people who have contributed to the fabric of our country. And that just needs to be part of the everyday conversation. But for Black people, it's just a collection of, like, we pass our stories down to each other. So I think we know all of this information in our DNA, but it's a way to package it that you can give to children, you can give to your aunties, your uncles, your lovers, your enemies. Like, it's just, you can just say, here it is.
Nah. Do you think, because in some ways I feel like the passing down on this information and illustrating it in such a way that everybody can contain it allows for a slow, division and separation, and it allows for some healing and some elevation in our communities?
It was healing for me to work on this, and one of the things an aspect of this book that I can talk a little bit about is that there's several people in the book for whom there was no actual reference for, because either their information was destroyed or there were no photographs for me to reference, and I had to create likenesses out of my imagination and my research. And that would have been a reason to not have them in the book. And I decided, no, I'm gonna create. All these figures are there for a reason, and they're of equal stature. Everyone has a full page illustrated portrait. And I wanted to show that regardless of whether history treats them well or not, I'm going to treat them well.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for doing that. Man, I wish I could talk to you forever, but I know you're on a short time.
No, we could talk for hours.
Yeah. So let's end off. Let's do two questions. So one question: where can people get this book, engage with this book, and buy it, gift it?
Yes.
And do you have any speaker tours? Where can people start to engage with you in reference to this book?
Yes. The tour is starting up this week. And, well, first of all, you can get the book now everywhere and anywhere. You can buy it online, Amazon, your independent bookstores. That's really important. I'm telling people, really support your independent bookstores. They also deliver, you can buy it anywhere at this point. And I'm telling everyone, if you're buying one copy, then you're just hoarding it for yourself. Like, share. I was like, didn't your parents raise you to share? You should be buying multiple copies to give to all of the people in your lives.
I'm gonna be buying several copies.
That is the idea. Yes.
So let's look 5-10 years from now, when we're celebrating the anniversary of this book, and you look into your vision, imagination for the future. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What do you see?
Well, I'll tell you something. A friend of mine a few weeks ago, I showed him a preview copy. I didn't have the printed book. I had the galleon he was looking through, and he held it up and waved it in his hand. And he said, you have given Hollywood the Bible for all the biography and the biopics and the shows that they should be doing. And if this book is utilized in this way, he's like, this is a Bible of Black accomplishment,
Mm,
and that this can be taken and utilized in that way. I think great.
mm, love that. Right. George McCalman, ladies and gentlemen.
Terrell, we could talk for hours. It was really great to chop it up with you.
It was great to talk with you. Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you. That's been another episode of Rise Urban Nation. Y'all go out and get that book.
Get it,
I'm
get
gonna
it.
get all the websites and the speaking tour and put it in the show
Yes.
notes.
Yes,
Any last words?
I'm going to be touring
of wisdom?
the country. I'm going to be traveling to New York and Chicago and Detroit and LA and DC. So I'm coming to your city.
He's coming to your city. George, close out with any last words of wisdom.
Trust your instincts and don't let anybody tell you that the thing that you want to do is not valid.
There you have it. Trust your instincts.